If you want to walk into your medicine interviews feeling confident, knowing how to answer every single question, and feeling like you definitely secured your offer, then this is a video you need to watch. Now, part of having great interview success is making sure that you actually know the content so that you can answer these questions with that confident manner. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the hot topic of the aging population. We're going to look at everything you need to know about this, some solutions to the aging population, and everything that is being done in the UK so you can answer these questions in your interviews. Hi, I'm Loveleen, a medical student at King's College London, here to help you with your interviews. Now, I completely understand how daunting and difficult interviews were, as I was in your position. But fast forward a couple of months, I went on to achieve all 4 of my offers with interview scores as high as 135 out of 140. And I'm here to help you do the same and achieve your dream of studying medicine. On my channel, I talk about all things relating to medicine, entrepreneurship, and mindset. Now, to help you, I've also created loads of different resources. First up is my Aspiring Medics newsletter for completely free resources. On this, I post loads of different tips relating to the journey of getting into medicine, especially around during UCAT season and interview season, and what you can be doing to help you achieve your dream of studying medicine. Additionally, one of the key reasons that I was actually able to get all 4 of my offers was my interview document. This is an over 50-page document in which I've included all of the content that you need to know, ethical pillars, over 100 different types of questions, and also the NHS hot topics and research. If you're interested in this, make sure to check it out using the link below. Additionally, if you want more personalized support with helping you get your 4 out of 4 offers and studying medicine at your dream uni, then check out my interview course. Again, as part of this interview course, you get personalized, tailored learning given to you about all the content, learning how you should actually be structuring your interview responses, what your interviewers want from you when you're doing a med school interview, and the art of speaking and presentation, because this is so important in helping you secure your offers and get into medicine. An aging population refers to an increase in the proportion of people who are aged above 60, whilst there's also decline in the number of younger people, so typically those aged between 15 and younger. Now, the reason that this is actually happening and why we have an aging population in the UK is due to lower fertility rates and also to lower mortality rates. So as a result, more of the population is becoming older, which is what is contributing to the aging population. But what impact does an aging population have on the NHS? So an aging population typically is associated with more long-term healthcare conditions. For example, anyone aged above 65, they have a higher risk of developing a long-term condition. And research has shown that many individuals aged above 75 often have 2 or more long-term conditions. This suggests that first, there are multimorbidities in an aging population, which can complicate care because that means one person has multiple conditions, so all of these have to be managed with each other. Additionally, it means that more follow-up appointments are required and more care can be more complex. It has also created a greater demand for healthcare services which will focus on age-related conditions such as dementia and musculoskeletal conditions, as these are more likely to affect elderly patients. So as a result, more research and more support is required in these areas in order to support an aging population. Elderly people typically are more likely to suffer from chronic conditions or long-term conditions, and additionally multimorbidities, which means they're suffering from more than one condition at the same time. As a result, their care is a lot more complicated, which is why they may need more follow-up appointments and more appointments in general, which means that more cost is taken up in prescription costs and additionally appointment costs by the NHS. It's also important to highlight that the NHS is actually designed around different specialties. So if a patient and if a significant proportion of the population has multiple different conditions, this means that they'll have to navigate between multiple different specialties if they have multimorbidities or comorbidities that go across different specialties. Now let's take a look at dementia, because typically elderly patients are significantly at more risk. Now, dementia often can complicate the care of patients as they often have longer hospital stays. And as you can understand too, in consultations or in patient appointments, often if a patient suffers from dementia, it's a lot harder for them to be able to engage in the appointments, actually understand more about their healthcare during these consultations with doctors and healthcare professionals. And they may also struggle to have the capacity to consent to different medical decisions. As a result, this can complicate care and make it more difficult in order to actually support elderly patients, which is why it's really important to develop solutions in order to cater for an aging population in healthcare services. An increase in the aging population has also resulted in an increase in social isolation, unfortunately. So what this means is that a greater proportion of elderly people often feel isolated, and this can actually affect not just their mental health but also physically. And often research has shown that those who experience social isolation have more hospital admissions and longer hospital stays too. This is because the emotions from social isolation actually affect an individual's physical health, and this is why these patients then have to come into healthcare services to receive support, not just for physical conditions that may have emerged, but also mentally, in order to make sure that they are okay despite suffering from social isolation. So what are some solutions and things that the NHS could do or may already be doing in order to support an aging population within the NHS? So the first is actually developing specialist geriatric unit wards. So this is something that the NHS could do. This is already something that's actually done in the UK as well. Essentially, these are wards catered just for elderly patients who can come in, and all of their conditions, including multiple mobility conditions, can actually be treated during the same time. This allows for much more integrated care, and this person does not necessarily have to go ahead and navigate multiple different specialties by themselves, and instead all care can be delivered through here. By making these more widespread, it means that a greater number of elderly patients can actually be supported by this instead. Next is actually focusing on interventions and improving education. This is really important because by increasing education, this means that we can actually have preventative measures to many illnesses. So many of the illnesses that elderly patients have, they can be chronic conditions such as musculoskeletal conditions or even conditions such as heart diseases. These can actually be prevented in the first place by trying to make sure that everyone has healthy lifestyle habits. Again, there will still be instances where patients do have certain conditions and that is not in their control, but trying to have as many preventative measures as possible will significantly reduce the risk and also alleviate some of the pressures onto the NHS. So by having education and teaching patients the importance of having some form of movement or exercise as part of the day, and actually making these available within communities, would really help to support the preventative side of medicine so that patients are actually living healthier, happier lives physically and mentally, so are less reliant on healthcare services. I hope this video has been helpful in improving your understanding of the aging population in the UK and what the current impacts are on the NHS, and how you can actually have some potential solutions to this too, so you can mention these in your med school interviews. And if you're still learning your content in order to ace your med school interviews, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, as I have videos on all of the hot topics and ethics that you need to know.